It starts with a whisper, a warning glance, a control disguised as care. Before you know it, you're questioning your own reality. The Invisible Man had the potential to be a powerful commentary on domestic abuse. But what if I told you that, despite its thrills, it misses something crucial? Something that could actually misrepresent the very people it claims to empower? Let's start with the basics. Cecilia's story mirrors what many survivors go through: gaslighting, manipulation, and fear that never truly leaves. But while The Invisible Man nails the horror of being stalked, it does something problematic. The film is so focused on the thriller that it forgets the aftermath. Where's the psychological depth? The slow, painful recovery? Instead, Cecilia's trauma takes a backseat to the spectacle of an invisible villain. What does this mean for real-life survivors? We'll get to that soon. Before we continue with the video and my further explanation about how not to write abuse, I want to ask for your help. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subs by the end of the year, so I'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe and help me out. Okay, let's continue. Revenge arcs feel satisfying. But here's the issue. Not all survivors fight back in a Hollywood-style showdown. Some struggle for years to regain a sense of safety. Some never get justice. This shift from victim to action hero may be exciting, but it distorts reality. The trauma of domestic abuse isn't something you win by outsmarting your abuser. It's a long, grueling process. And this raises an important question. What message does this send to actual survivors? That if they don't fight back in a dramatic way, their pain isn't valid? That only those who can outwit their abuser deserve justice? This is where The Invisible Man stumbles. It equates empowerment with defeating your abuser rather than healing from them. And for many survivors, the real battle isn't about fighting back in the literal sense. It's about reclaiming their own lives, piece by piece. So what happens when audiences take the wrong message from this? Now, let's dig deeper into one of the film's biggest flaws, the way it frames trauma. Instead of portraying Cecilia's emotional wounds in depth, the movie uses her suffering to fuel the plot. Her fear, paranoia, and pain are all essential to the thriller elements, but they don't get the exploration they deserve. The audience never sees Cecilia struggle with flashbacks, dissociation, or the long-term effects of emotional abuse. Instead, she is constantly in survival mode, reacting to external threats rather than processing internal wounds. Compare this to other films that handle trauma with more depth, like Made, 2021, which shows the day-to-day struggles of a survivor trying to rebuild her life. The Invisible Man misses this opportunity, opting instead for a high-stakes thriller that prioritizes plot twists over psychological depth. And then there's the ending, Cecilia's big moment of revenge. It's framed as empowering, but is it really? The idea that true healing comes from killing an abuser is not just unrealistic, it's dangerous. It suggests that justice is only found through violence, ignoring the real-life barriers that survivors face when seeking help and closure. This isn't to say Cecilia's story shouldn't be told. It absolutely should. But Hollywood needs to do better when it comes to portraying the messy, complicated, and deeply personal journey of healing from domestic abuse. So, what should stories like this do differently? Show recovery, not just survival. Acknowledge the mental toll. Give survivors more than just revenge. The Invisible Man almost gets it right, but it leans too heavily on spectacle and loses sight of its deeper message. So, what can we learn from The Invisible Man? If you're writing about abuse, focus on the survivor's emotional journey, not just the horror of their situation. Show the aftermath. Show the struggle. Show healing beyond revenge. Survival isn't just about escaping the abuser. It's about learning to live again, rebuilding trust, seeking therapy, finding a support system, and reclaiming one's sense of self. These are the aspects of survival that are often left out of Hollywood narratives because they're not as exciting as a final showdown. But they matter. We need stories that validate survivors' experiences rather than distort them for the sake of entertainment. When we sensationalize abuse as a revenge-driven horror story, we diminish the struggles of real survivors. The truth is, healing isn't about a single act of justice. It's an ongoing process, one that's rarely dramatic, but always meaningful. So, the next time you see a film tackling domestic abuse, ask yourself, is this showing the full picture, or is it just using trauma as a plot device? Because when Hollywood turns real suffering into a spectacle, it does a disservice to the people who live through it. What are your thoughts on The Invisible Man? Did it handle trauma well, or did it fall into the revenge fantasy trap? Let's talk in the comments.